This is Top Accolade Global News Update. I am Abiodun Mohammed. Israel has carried out an air attack near Damascus, Syrian state media reported, the second attack near the capital in the last 2 days. Witnesses told newsmen that they heard at least 3 big explosions over the city overnight. Citing a military source, state media reported that Israel fired sprays of missiles just after midnight. Syrian air defenses intercepted the missiles and shot down a number of them, the source said, saying the aggression caused some material damage. There were no details about casualties. The source said the attack hit a site in the Damascus countryside, but did not provide further details. There was no immediate statement from Israel, which usually declines to comment on reports of attacks in Syria. Israel has for years been carrying out attacks against what it has described as Iran-linked targets in Syria, where Tehran's influence has grown since it began supporting President Bashar al-Assad in the civil war that began in 2011. North Korea executes people for sharing South Korean media, religious activities and drugs as the country stifles its citizens' human rights and freedom, according to a report by its rival, South Korea. South Korea's Unification Ministry, which handles inter-Korean affairs, based the 450-page report on testimony collected from 2017 to 2022 from more than 500 North Koreans who fled their homeland. North Korean citizens' right to life appears to be greatly threatened, the ministry said in the report on Thursday. Pressmen could not independently verify the South Korean government's findings, but they were in line with United Nations investigations and reports from non-governmental organizations. North Korea has rejected criticism of its rights conditions as part of a plot to overthrow its rulers. The report gave details of rampant state-led rights abuses in communities, prison camps and elsewhere, including public executions, torture and arbitrary arrest. Deaths and torture regularly occur in detention facilities, and some people were summarily executed after being caught trying to cross the border, the ministry said. French President Emmanuel Macron will head to China next week for a rare visit to the rising superpower in an awkward balancing act between his global statesman ambitions and his struggle to contain embarrassing pension protests at home. The French leader, whose decision to ram much disputed pension legislation through parliament earlier this month sparked clashes and violence in French cities, is trying to keep his busy diplomatic schedule on track with the chaotic scenes of burning piles of rubbish in Paris, which were broadcast around the world, have already forced Macron to cancel a state visit by Britain's King Charles, an embarrassment which did not go unnoticed in diplomatic cycles. The protest, which will see unions stage an 11th nationwide strike during Macron's time in Beijing, come as the French president is trying to regain the initiative on the war in Ukraine and play a leadership role in Europe. Macron will also need to keep in mind China's tactic of playing divide and rule, said a non-Western diplomat who suggested China may try to use the trip to place a wedge in the Western camp and lure France away from the United States. The numbers of babies born with syphilis in Canada are rising at a far faster rate than recorded in the United States or Europe. An increase, public health experts said, is driven by increased methamphetamine use and lack of access to the public health system for indigenous people. While syphilis has made a global resurgence over the last 5 years, Canada is an outlier among wealthy nations in its rate of increase 13-fold over 5 years, according to Health Canada. The incidence of babies born with syphilis reached 26 per 100,000 live births in 2021, the most recent year available, up from 2 in 2017, according to the Health Canada data. The total is on track to increase further in 2022, according to the preliminary government data obtained by newsmen. Babies with congenital syphilis are at higher risk of low birth weight, bone malformations, and sensory difficulties, according to the World Health Organization (WHO). Syphilis in pregnancy is the second leading cause of stillbirth worldwide, the WHO said. Yet congenital syphilis is easily preventable if an infected person gets access to penicillin during their pregnancy. The United Kingdom has agreed to join an 11-country Trans-Pacific Trade Pact as it looks to deepen ties in the region and build its global trade links after leaving the European Union. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak on Friday said Britain had agreed to join the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership (CPTPP) in a move his office said was the biggest trade deal since Brexit. The CPTPP is the successor to a previous Trans-Pacific Trade Pact that the United States withdrew from under former President Donald Trump in 2017. Its members include fellow G7 members, Canada and Japan, and historic UK allies, Australia and New Zealand. The remaining members are Mexico, Chile and Peru, along with Malaysia, Singapore, Vietnam and Brunei. Britain has been looking to build global trade ties following its departure from the EU in 2020 and has looked to pivot towards geographically distant but fast-growing economies. Membership will supplement existing bilateral free trade agreements (FTAs). Britain, as with most of the member countries, and gives businesses extra options over the terms they can trade under. That is the size of top accurate global news updates. You can follow us on our social media platforms as displayed on your screen. Happy weekend!